So in today's class, we are trying to discuss about exception handling. So what is exception handling? Why we need exception handling? This is one of the important topic in Java, and we'll try to see what is exception and how to handle that exception. What is the mechanism that Java is providing to handle the exceptions, and what is the error? So this is we'll try to discuss actually in this today's class. Okay, so let me create a Java project exception demo, and project got created. So this is the project. So now we'll try to create a new class, Java demo, and it is inside the com.demo package. Perfect. So now what we'll try to understand is basically what is exception. When we say exception, we should know about the definition of exception. What is the exception? Exception is something, the mistake we use it to call exception, means we have to exclude the specific scenario, that is called exception. So that is something exclusion for some unfortunate thing, that is called an exception. So we exceptionally missed, or we have exceptionally did, when we say that, so that is something happened unfortunately. So when something is happening unfortunately, so that is giving some major mistake. See, what I did is I got the rank in some specific exam. So you're preparing for gate and you got the rank of 149 and you got the seat in some IIT, but you are not able to join, that is far from your place to hometown to that IIT location. So you missed that and you applied for some different one, so that impact will be huge. So what will happen, you will not get the good company and you will not get the good packages. There will be many impacts for the mistake what you did. So likewise, so what will happen in Java, if there is a line of code having some mistake, so what will happen is that will terminate the entire program. So what I'm trying to explain you is, here I have the couple of variables and statements which I'm writing. Int x equals to 10, int y equals to 20, int z equals to 0/10. Okay, int a equals to 10/0, and system.out.println a plus a, and system.out.println okay. So multiple statements I'm writing it. So let me explain in detail. X plus y and x plus x into y. Okay, x into y and x divided by y. Okay, you are writing the multiple statements, right? And you are running the program, and you can see what will happen. If you see line number 20, so what is happening here is you are trying to make a division, and that division also you are trying to divide it by a number by 0. So is that possible? Mathematically, is this possible? This is not possible. You cannot divide any number by 0. In maths itself, this is not solved. There is no solution to solve this. Okay, so let me repeat one more time. What is the statement it is telling? You cannot divide any number by 0. So that is mathematically not proved. So what is happening is, so it is giving the exception. Because of this one, you have very proper statements. X plus y, you are trying to get x into y. and y divided by z. If I don't have this statement, if I don't have that mistake, I could have executed all the lines without any failures. I can able to execute all of them without any failures. So what happened basically, it is giving me an error because of blunder mistake. What I did is here int a equals to 10 by 0, which I have written, and I'm trying to print that value of a. So what is happening because of that mistake? So it is corrupted or it is terminated the entire flow. Means whatever the content or whatever the lines that was there, that is not executing because of that code, right? So what we have to understand is there is an issue. We don't know unexpected code that is giving the error. So because of that one, the entire flow was got terminated. The entire flow got terminated. To handle this, Java is introduced the mechanism called exception handling. Okay, Java exception handling mechanism. What is Java exception handling? There is two different ways to avoid this kind of scenario. When there is an exception place, that line has to be terminated and the remaining has to be executed. So how we can do that? There is two different ways. One is by using the try catch block, and another one is by throws the exception. So we'll discuss the second scenario later. We'll first try to discuss the what is the first approach, try and catch block. So now what we'll try to understand is what is the try block and what is the catch block. First we'll try to understand the definition of try block. What is try will do? What try will do? Okay, try is one of the Java reserved word. So when we will use try is whatever the code that will throws an exception when you feel something that will maybe give the impact. See, for example, you are preparing for an exam and you are not good with a like coding part, or you are not good with the arithmetic, something you feel you are not able to crack that specific section. Then what you will do, you will focus more to get good score on the specific section, right? So likewise, when you feel you have written some lines of code, when you feel that that code might gives an error, so when you feel whatever the code that you are writing that may give an error, when you feel that, you have to keep that code inside the try block. So keep that code inside the try block. So try is used to keep a code which will throws an exception. Whatever the code that is giving an exception, we have to keep that code inside the try block. Okay, first point. Next, catch. What catch will do? Catch will tell you that, boss, there is an exception which is like try is showing me. I have to catch that exception. Catch will catch the exception. What is catching exception? Basically, this is a block of statement which will help us or help developer to understand why we are getting the error. So what error that we are getting, what is the message or what is the trace for the specific error. So that information that you will get with the try and catch block. The same code which I'm executing now, and I am using the exception handling mechanism, and we will see what is going to happen. So I feel this code might give an error. So I'm keeping this code inside the try block. Okay, inside the try block, and I'm using the catch block, and I try to catch the exception, whatever the exception that is giving. Just I'm printing this exception. This is the syntax for writing the try and catch block. So it is try starts here and ends with line number 29. So as per the given statement, I kept the code which is throwing an exception. So this code I keep inside the try block. Okay. And catch will catch the exception. Here it is telling exception and E is an object and I am printing what exception that is giving. And as usual, now executing and we'll see what is happening. So now if you see, it is printing the exception on line number 30. Boss, whatever code you have written from line number 24 to line number 29, that is giving me an exception. The exception name is arithmetic exception. Arithmetic exception is nothing but some mathematical mistake that we are doing while executing a statement. So that is arithmetic exception. What catch will do? Catch will catch the exception and it is printing what is that exception. And if you see after line number 31, whatever the statements that was there, that was executed. See, as I given one example, if you are not good with this specific subject, if you focus more on to the specific one, then you will get the better results or better output. The reason because you are putting more focus to get get good score or get clear the exam. Right here, what I did is basically I have added this try catch block to handle this specific scenario. So what it helped me, it is avoided a termination of the flow of execution. So the termination flow of execution is now not there. It is continuously executing even there is an error. So this is called the exception handling. So this mechanism is called Java exception handling. Right now you are clear with what is an exception. Exception is something which is recoverable, means we can able to fix it either compile time or runtime, whatever it may be, that we can able to fix it. That is a mistake, or we use it to called as accusations, or we use it to call them as assumption or something, whatever you wanted to call. These are the synonymous for this exception. And exception handling is one of the process, or we use it to call them as a mechanism. And how we can achieve or how we can avoid these exceptions in a Java flow, we have the two different ways. So now it is something important that we'll try to discuss is what are the different types of exceptions that we have. Basically, we have two different types of exceptions. So the two different types of exceptions are checked exceptions. Checked exceptions are unchecked exceptions. So the two different types of exceptions are checked and unchecked exceptions. So we will try to understand what is the checked exceptions and what is the unchecked exceptions. First, we'll start with checked exceptions. Here, one blunder mistake or blunder thing that you have to remember is, so here it is CC. I will give you this clue. CC, checked exceptions are compile time exceptions. Okay, here you remember C and C. Checked exceptions are compile time exceptions. Checked exceptions are compile time exceptions. Unchecked exceptions are runtime. Okay, so now we'll try to understand what is the runtime exception, what is the compile time exception. Okay, so I'll start with this concept. Hope you're clear. I'll start with writing a simple method, public void add. I'm writing one method. here what I'm trying to do is, okay, here what I'm trying to do is, I wanted to read some file from my machine. Okay, so to reading a file, I will use the file operations. File equals to new file. Okay, so this is the syntax for reading the file. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm importing the java.io file. And file input output. Okay, file input output stream is one of the three different class which will help us to. Okay, so now we'll see what is happening. So when we try to write this code, it is absolutely fine. So you created file input output stream object equals to new file input output stream, and this statement is correct for reading the file, but still it is giving the error and it is saying that, boss, whatever the class or whatever the predefined library that you have used that may give the error, you have to handle it. That's what it is telling during the compilation. Now this error got fixed. If you see the syntax, public void add throws file not found exception means somebody's are like having their pet, like dogs, something will be there, and they will keep one board in front of their house and they will give the statement that, so we have the dogs in our house, so take care. That is the statement that you are giving. The reason because, so that may harm them, whatever the people that are entering into their home, they're giving some like int so that they will be taken care about their self, right? So here also what it is telling is, you are doing a manipulation or you are using me file input output stream predefined class which is from Java library. So Java IO dot file input output stream, and what it is telling, boss, you might miss the reading a file or you are not giving the right path of that file. That time it will give the file not found exception. Because of that, whatever the code that you are writing, that may not execute. So that's why I am suggesting you to throws an exception. So it will throws an exception. So here what happened basically, when you use a Java predefined library, it will give an int or clue saying that when you use my predefined class, it may gives the error because of the wrong input that you are providing. So that will be harmful to that will terminate your entire process. To avoid that, I am firstly recommending you to throw that exception which is relevant to the statement that you have written. So here I have written some statement. Based upon that, it is telling like this. For example, one more class, it is kind of class dot. This is one way of creating object. For providing the, you have to provide the class and you have to write it. So in this case, this statement is correct, but what it is telling is, this is the predefined method. When you write it, you have, it is telling that you have to write this class not found exception. Boss, you are using predefined class, This may not fetch the exact class. You may not give the proper class name, or the class name may not present. So that will give the error, right? So you have to handle class not found exception. These are the different exceptions that we have, and it is telling that you have to handle such kind of exceptions, right? So this is called checked exceptions. Means when you're writing the Java code itself, that will give the clue or hint saying that you are using this pre-derived library. This may gives this error. You have to handle. So the these exceptions will occur in compile time, and you have to handle that exception. Otherwise, it will not execute it. So these all are the compile time exceptions. Okay, the exceptions which will occur during the runtime. For example, you are writing int a equals to 10 by 0, and you are trying to create an object and you're trying to execute this method. So now what will happening is you are trying to write something, and when you write or executing something, it is giving the error. When it is giving the error during the runtime, so during the compilation time, it is not recommending or it is not saying anything. And during the runtime, it is giving the error saying that there will be an arithmetic exception, right? These exceptions are called the runtime exceptions. This is the difference between checked and unchecked exceptions. The exceptions which will occur in compile time is called the checked exceptions. The exceptions which will occur in the runtime is called the unchecked exceptions. Clear?
Yes, sir. Yes.